Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Overthink It Podcast. My name is Brett James, and I'm joined by my co-host, Darian Harris. Episode 8 of the Don't Overthink It Podcast, man. Happy Wednesday, January 17th to everybody out there. The NFL wildcard round has now concluded. As you guys are hearing this, we still got 2 more games tonight here on Monday night as we record this video. I'm super excited for these matchups tonight, and I know we had a great weekend of playoff football. I'm excited that the Dallas Cowboys are out of the postseason. I know Darian is probably extremely happy about that as well too. How you doing today, man?
I wouldn't say I'm extremely happy.
You not happy?
I don't
You
get
not happy?
I don't have since I've been covering, both the NFL and NBA, I don't have
Vendetta.
a vendetta against any team in the league, right? Unless they just do some dirty stuff or just have like a lame
What
duck
about
coach.
Tennessee?
Tennessee, they're a rival. If they're going against my Jaguars, of course I'll be happy. But like if it's the Cowboys, I don't hate on the Cowboys just because everybody else does. It's kind of unfortunate that they have just have the very unfortunate of the bad luck of their franchise, man. Like they're literally cursed. It looks like so.
I love it.
It's funny to watch the reactions, but no, I'm not wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm definitely happy for Jordan Love though he balled out. But
And
nice intro music by the way, man. A little, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, come on, the Metro.
That was from that was Drake and Future, their album, right? Yeah.
I did a Digital Dash. Yeah.
Digital Dash, I haven't heard that song in a minute. Yeah,
I'm about to say, man, what a time to be alive, man.
What a time to be alive.
Quite literally, what a time to be alive.
Literally.
Absolutely, man. No, I can say wholeheartedly, man, I get so much joy in my week watching the Cowboys crumble at Jerry World too. Like at AT&T Stadium, I was just there this summer. Beautiful stadium, by the way. Can't hate on the man, Jerry Jones, but 81 years of age. This man has been fighting for a Super Bowl, hell, even an NFC Championship appearance my entire lifetime, and my Jaguars have more AFC Championship game appearances than
we have more playoff wins than them.
Yeah, so things not we'll get into the Cowboys. We'll get into them somewhere towards the middle of this pod, but I just had to say, even though the Jags didn't make it, our Jags didn't make it. Seeing the Cowboys just kind of struggle and have their own demons that they're fighting because they can't, seem to get out of their own way. That brings me a lot of joy. So that definitely made my week a lot better and my weekend a lot better. But Darian, I want to go ahead and actually start talking about some real football teams that actually competed this weekend. Even though it was a blowout, we had 3 teams so far win at home. And obviously the one lone team to lose at home was Dallas, who was actually undefeated at home in the regular season. Let's start off with Saturday football. As we kicked it off at NRG Stadium, you had Cleveland going into Houston. I believe that you actually picked the Browns on last week's pod.
I'll explain.
To go ahead. Yeah, you'll explain yourself. To go into Houston and get a win. I picked Houston. I picked CJ Stroud and them boys, and they ended up proving me right. Houston won that game 45-14. But Darian, go ahead and Mr. Flip aside, go ahead and talk to me about you switching up.
Not a flip aside, I would say. But, I did give my predictions on the podcast. But I had a few more days to sit on my thoughts, right? And the day before the playoffs began, I dropped my playoff bracket and gave my prediction on Twitter and on TikTok. So as of right now, I'm only like missed one time from the field when it came to the playoff predictions. Everybody won in my predictor besides the Cowboys, right?
Yep.
So
I missed 2. I missed out on the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Or Dolphins and the Cowboys.
Yes. So the Texans and Cleveland Browns game, I predicted the Texans to win the day before the matchup happened, right? I just felt as if the Texans were at home. I thought about how hard it is to beat a team twice in a regular season. The last time these 2 teams faced off. I think first of all, Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper had an anomaly of a game, right? They had like one of the greatest games we ever seen from a quarterback and wide receiver do in regular season history, goddamn.
Right.
And Stroud, the X factor, of course, was not playing in that game, so it was going to look a lot differently. I didn't think that defense was going to give up, that historic performance as well. I thought they were going to come back a lot better, and that's what we saw, right? The game started out kind of like back and forth for a little bit, but someone's defense had to step up, and surprisingly, it wasn't the Browns defense, right? The Browns defense got exposed. They got gashed. They got taken advantage of. I mean, Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, he will be a head coach this offseason because the job he did throughout his entire season, but most importantly, in that playoff game with a rookie quarterback was amazing to see. I mean, Nico Collins got busy. Dalton Schultz had some solid gains. I mean, Brevin Jordan had like a 50-yard touchdown. The running attack was there. I mean,
there
was
a 76-yard touchdown off a screen pass. It was ridiculous.
Off a check down. Like, it was crazy, bro. Like, he just took advantage of so many things Jim Schwartz and that defense tried to do. And it was amazing to see. And Stroud, man, playoff debut, 272 yards, I want to say, passing, 16 for 21, 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an absolutely fantastic performance. Their defense came alive in the second half, pick sixes, 2 of them to be exact. Christian Harris had a big day on his debut as well in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to D'Amico Ryans. As a Jaguars fan, the fan in me is very unfortunate to see this. But, man, being objective as possible, the future is so bright in Houston, dog. Like, even if they lose in the divisional round, which they probably will, but we'll get to that later. It's still beautiful to see, man. They're so ahead of schedule. I mean, this is what the feeling Texans fans are feeling right now is what Jaguars fans felt last year. Probably a little better because they had such a dominant performance. And as for the Browns, I mean, I wouldn't feel too bad, right? I mean, you overcame a lot of obstacles this year. You show resiliency, right? You got to the playoffs and had an 11-5 record with Joe Flacco being your quarterback for the back half of your schedule.
And no Nick Chubb.
No Nick Chubb. You were banged up defensively, right? A lot of guys weren't healthy throughout the season. So you were able to overcome a lot. And you go into next year with a lot of expectations, right? Deshaun Watson is still in that huge contract and stuff like that. So, we'll talk about that later. But as of for now, I wouldn't necessarily be mad if I was a Browns fan. I'd be disappointed, you know what I'm saying? But, like, we had Joe Flacco at the end of the day, though. The fairy tale story had to end eventually. And shout out to the Houston Texans, man. They stood tall, and they had a very fantastic performance with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback.
They did. And I'll say you got to give a lot of credit to Nick Caserio as well, too. Like, we want to talk about CJ Stroud, and we want to talk about D'Amico Ryans and the jobs that they've done. They're the first rookie head coach and rookie quarterback debuting in the postseason to win a playoff game. I mean, just incredible stuff. Before I continue on with this, I guess, soliloquy with Houston and just how incredible their run has been and what they've put together this season, I'll talk about Cleveland first and foremost. You're right. The fairy tale story had to end eventually with Joe Flacco. They have nothing to hang their hats on as, the Browns organization or Browns fans. You got back to the postseason. Like you said, they overcame a lot of adversity this season. And honestly, look, if Deshaun Watson goes out there and puts up a pedestrian performance, right, they still probably lose this game if he was there, right? Because Houston, I thought, was just firing on all cylinders all afternoon. You get Deshaun Watson back, and let's just assume health going into next season. You're going to get Nick Chubb back. Let's hope he gets back to 110%. Your team still has a legitimate shot out there to go ahead and contend in the AFC as one of the perennial best teams out there. So they've got nothing to hang their hats on, man. They have nothing to be disappointed in. If I was a Cleveland fan, sure, does it suck getting out of the postseason? Yeah, but at the end of the day, like you said, this fairy tale story kind of had to end with Joe Flacco and the team eventually. But flipping it over to Houston, like I said, I give a lot of credit to Nick Caserio and what he did in one offseason, really putting together. I mean, it wasn't one offseason, but it felt like one offseason where he really got all the pieces together. And he got the complementary pieces around his quarterback. He got the quarterback that he wanted, regardless if CJ Stroud was going to go number 1 or number 2 overall, which obviously he went number 2. They got their guy, they identified their guy, and they built around him. They got Tank Dell. They bring in Will Anderson Jr. in the draft. They trade up to go ahead and get cornerstone pieces that are paying off. Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petrie, back to the offensive side of the ball. You get a Xavier Hutchinson. You bring in Nico Collins. You get Robert Woods. You have all of these great complementary pieces that help support your quarterback, especially a young quarterback, even with a defensive-minded head coach. And obviously, Bobby Slowick, just hell of a job this season. There's a legitimate case you could make for CJ Stroud for MVP this season or Offensive Player of the Year. He's been that damn good. And yes, even as a Jags fan, being completely objective, I give a lot of credit in the world of that Texans organization and them really getting it turned around in what felt like just a single season.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far to say Stroud is a deserving of those accolades. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's in a conversation. I think you could just throw him in there, but I wouldn't give it to him. But I think he's in that conversation.
No, I got you. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, he played excellent football. I mean, like, he's definitely the MVP of this team for sure. I mean, you see how,
for sure,
D'Amico Ryans talked about, like, after the game, like, he's showing so much poise this year and resiliency as a starting quarterback for the first time in his career in this league, right? I mean, it's just, amazing to see when the general manager and head coach are on the same accord. They're on the same page. And we'll talk about that later with the Detroit Lions as well.
Just
But
about to
they
say that.
had an idea. They had a game plan in the direction they wanted to go with this team, right? I think the biggest hire of the offseason, of course, was bringing in Bobby Slowick, right? Being the passing game coordinator from the 49ers, right? You're literally watching him run a Kyle Shanahan offense with CJ Stroud, right? I mean, that is the recipe for success in the NFL, running a Kyle Shanahan offense because it's so effective, right? The misdirections get you confused. You know, the play designs, the route trees that you put on display. I mean, and you have the quarterback to make every single throw on that field. Now going back to the Browns real quick, you mentioned about Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson. If they played in this game, it might have been a different story, or it might have been the same. I don't know. I think Kevin Stefanski has predicated on the running attack throughout his entire tenure with the Cleveland Browns. And I think during the back half of the schedule, with Nick Chubb being out and Joe Flacco being in there more of a gunslinger type quarterback, I think he had to adapt to his quarterback's greatest tendencies, which is throwing the ball around, right? That's what Joe Flacco, that's how he made his name in the NFL, right? During the early 2010s, he was a gunslinger type quarterback, right? You lived and died by the decision making of Joe Flacco, and that's what happened this past Saturday, right? They died by the decision making of Joe Flacco. But I think if they had a running attack in this game, a legit one, Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, they're good running backs, but they're not Nick Chubb, right? I think at times they needed to extend drives, right? Take some time at the clock, keep the ball out of Stroud's hands, because sometimes, their offense was off the field pretty quickly because they were throwing the ball on first, second, and third down damn near, right? So, I just feel as if Kevin Stefanski had to play out of his hand a little bit, and it worked up until when it mattered most. So, maybe this Browns team can be back next year. They have the defense, right? They got to pay some guys this offseason more than likely. But you just hope Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb come back healthy. But the AFC North is going to get even more better next year. Joe Burrow will be back. The Steelers will still be around if Mike Tomlin intends to stick with the team this offseason. And of course, the Ravens are going to be
the Ravens.
Is exactly. So, Browns fans, like I said, shouldn't be too low in this game, but also keep in mind that next year the expectations are definitely high. But like I said, man, Houston, what a job, dog. I said it on Twitter, man. It just amazes me to see how these young quarterbacks are thriving in a system where these coaches are letting them play their best brand of football, right? Taking shots down the field, right? Trusting their quarterbacks to make big time throw, not just dinking and dumping the entire game, setting up screen passes. Actually, letting their quarterbacks be quarterbacks, right? And it could come down to offensive line play being better as well. But man, these offensive coordinators, the young guys, man, they're so innovative, and I'm jealous. I won't lie to you, I'm very jealous.
They are, and picking up on that point really quickly with the offensive line, hell of a job by Laramie Tunsil, right? In that wild card round debut for CJ Stroud and that team. I mean, incredible job on an island versus Myles Garrett. They had a couple plays where, Brevin Jordan gets off the line, he chips Myles Garrett. I mean, you're going to have to do that against a premier edge rusher like him. But Laramie Tunsil did a hell of a job on that left side of the line, protecting CJ Stroud's blind side. And like you said, you're not limiting your young quarterback. You're not limiting the quarterback to a horizontal offense, taking everything dink and dunk, taking the checkdowns. No. Stop being conservative and let these guys go out there and play like quarterbacks. Let them play loose. Let them play free. Yes, you keep them in a system. Yes, you make sure that they're making the right reads, but you have to allow them, especially the young ones, to go out there and make those mistakes. It is okay for them because you need them to learn from those mistakes. When you have a quarterback that has the talent, has the capabilities, and has the confidence to put the team on his back and to go out there and let him make the plays, you instill that kind of trust of him, and that comes from the coaching, that comes from Bobby Slowick, that comes from DeMeco Ryans, and obviously CJ Stroud coming from a winning program like Ohio State. This guy's a winner. That's what DeMeco Ryans is. He's a winner. Bobby Slowick's a winner. These guys are all winners. You bring that kind of mindset and you instill that into the organization, and look what you've got. You've got everyone on the same page. You've got everyone turning in the right direction, and they deserved it. They deserved to win the AFC South. They deserved to win that game at NRG Stadium. Those fans deserved it. And you can see how that organization is really turning it around.
I agree, man.
Just beautiful, incredible. It really is. But let's move off that Houston game. Like I said, we've given them a lot of praise. Let's give praise to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning in frigid temperatures. Yes, at Arrowhead Stadium, the Miami Dolphins came in there and I don't want to say looked ill prepared, but you could tell that there was just a huge disadvantage and a huge discrepancy in the quarterback play and really just in the overall talent of the game. Kansas City won that game 26-7 at home. Darian, go ahead and talk to me about that game.
Yeah, I knew coming into this matchup, right, that the Chiefs were going to just handle business with ease. I saw nothing from this Dolphins team this entire season, especially down the stretch, that they can win this game. Maybe compete, but not win this game. I saw coming into this matchup, their defense wasn't healthy, but the defense wasn't the reason why they lost. It was because of their offense. I think we have to. I think we. How can I say this? I think we learned the harsh reality about Tua Tagovailoa this game. He's a good quarterback. I think he can be very successful in his league, but he is very limited. I think Mike McDaniel has tried so much to cater this offense to him that at points they've got a soft mentality. They're not tough enough. They win in the cold, and of course, it's definitely different for playing in Miami, but they look soft on the field, right? They were getting pushed around the trenches. The Chiefs just look tougher than them. I mean, I'm watching Tyreek Hill get, shoved at the line of scrimmage, right? He couldn't get off his wide receiver break. I'm watching, linebackers out there just openly miss tackles on Patrick Mahomes, not willing to hit him in open field, right? When he's not even going down, he just continue to run. The Dolphins are a soft team. And that's the identity of their coach. I think their coach is a bit soft. I think he had to be a bit soft and finesse because of the offense they run. You know what I'm saying? And, what you do is a representation. How you coach is a representation of your team. So, I don't think Tua is good enough to get the job done. I think this team is soft. And I don't know how they go into a different direction this offseason, given the fact that Tua is going to be, demanding a contract extension this offseason, right? But he's obviously not the answer. The Miami Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2021, 2022. It's been a long time, man.
No, they haven't won a playoff game since 2000.
2000.
They're now the longest active drought.
Yeah,
with the Lions getting that win. Yeah,
it's been a long time. But shout out to the Chiefs, championship DNA, championship mentality, heart of a champion. You can never count this team out. That's why I picked them in this matchup. But I mean, it's just like, dog, like the Chiefs. Regular season tells you a lot of things, man. Their offense is still not consistent enough in the red zone, in my opinion, but they have an elite defense. And now we saw, and the Dolphins still showed us entire year they cannot beat a team that's contending with an above 500 record consistently. They only beat the Cowboys, and we saw that again in the Chiefs matchup. They just can't beat teams of contention this year, and that needs to be a focal point going into next year, dog. They gotta find a way to be battle tested and win those games in the regular season, because everybody says the regular season doesn't matter. You're 0-0 going to the postseason, but nah, that shit matters, dog. It matters.
You are what you display. Like,
yeah, exactly,
absolutely.
The playoffs expose the truth about your team, rather if it's good or bad. And we saw the truth of the Dolphins, man. Tua's not good enough. They have a finesse team and they're soft. And as for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is still one of the best in the league. Their offense is a bit inconsistent, especially in the red zone. But the defense is all world this year, man, and that's going to be good enough to get them to at least a conference championship, more than likely. So, but yeah, man, that's just how I feel about the Dolphins and Chiefs game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much further Kansas City, goes in the postseason. Every time Mahomes has been in the postseason, he's at minimum made it to the AFC Championship game. So, I mean, I can never count out Kansas City, even though I did pick Miami to win this game. It was never about what Miami did or did not do in the regular season. It was simply my rationale at the time was, I just don't believe in this Kansas City team at all. Not because I necessarily believed in Miami, but I don't believe in this Kansas City offense. They are not the same offense that they've been and that we've been accustomed to since 2017, since Mahomes really took over the reins. Or I guess, was that 2017 or was that 2018? 2018. 2017, he got drafted, but 2018, he took over the reins as a first-year starter. Point being, Miami absolutely displayed yet again that they are a bunch of pretenders, a bunch of heartless, gutless, just soft, Charmin, ultra soft pretenders. That's exactly what they are. Cannot go out there. They have no willpower. They were like the Jags in the sense that anytime that they needed to step up to the task and prove to the NFL community and to themselves, look themselves in the mirror and say that, hey, we can go out there and compete with the best of the best, they couldn't do it. They could not do it. And, I think for me was, okay, if I can lean on A-Chain, if I can lean on Mostert, and I can get Tyreek Hill to get 1-2 explosive plays where he just absolutely takes it to the house, like we saw, they can kind of pull away in this game. Lean on that run game. But if Mike McDaniel can't get Tua Tagovailoa to play, at an exceptional level versus elite competition with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who I know has been banged up for, a lot of times this year. But if you can't get it done with them, I don't know where you're getting it done at. And I think Miami's going to move in a different direction this offseason. I do not think that they're going to pay Tua. And like you said, I think he showed his true colors this weekend, even in a game that was in inclement weather where all they had to do was take care of business in week 18, beat Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. You're at home and you're the 2 seed. Even if you're going to lose, let's say in the wild card round as the 2 seed, at least you're playing at home, right? At least you're playing in warm, sunny Florida. I'm shocked that Tua is just consistently not stepping up to the task. Consistently, that's just where I'm at with it, with this Dolphins team. But I still give a lot of credit to Kansas City and their resiliency at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say I'm shocked. You know what I'm saying? Because Tua is a good quarterback. I just don't feel as if he's to win a championship with Tua, you're going to have an exceptional run game, or
and the Dolphins don't, and the Dolphins aren't capable of that.
The Dolphins down the stretch. They weren't down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been good in the running tech the entire season, but when it came down to it, they couldn't pound the ball. This was a game they could have pounded the ball. I felt as if, like, I think Mike McDaniel called a very conservative game, like you mentioned, but I just think he needs a running attack to lean on, man. He needs a Jonathan Taylor in his backfield who he had a chance to get this season, but they kind of, held their the draft picks in, which is understandable. I get it. But imagine JT in his offense, right? I think their offensive line was a lot better than what we expected coming into the season, right? I think he just needs a running attack to lean on, dog, because in a game like this, he cannot chuck the ball around 30 plus times like Patrick Mahomes did, right? And it's crazy to see because everyone's saying the weather this, but I'm watching Patrick Mahomes throw the ball with ease in this matchup. I'm watching Tua barely even be able to complete screen passes. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, you mentioned the Dolphins shouldn't bring back Tua. I think it's a very tough conversation to be had, and I'm not sure what they will do. I've seen possible rumors that they could, not rumors, but I've seen the speculation that Dak Prescott could be traded for. Which would be nice as well. I think that's an upgrade in my opinion, given what we saw from Dak and what Dak could do in his offense. But if I'm Tua, I'm like, hey man, like just because I failed in the playoffs doesn't mean I had a bad regular season. We just can't discount what I did in the regular season.
He had a good regular season. But I think everyone acknowledges at this point. He's got a certain limitation. And I think Dak Prescott has a certain limitation. I've talked about this plenty of times in the past. These guys are they're not great, but they're good enough just to be just respectable and good enough. I never wanted to hear Dak Prescott in MVP conversations. I don't care how good he plays in the regular season. Okay. I'm serious. I've never been on that train.
The MVP is a regular season award.
I get it. We're having the same James Harden award talks like we had in 2017-18. I get it.
It doesn't matter. It's a regular season award. He deserved it. He deserved to be in conversations. It's a regular season. Now, come playoff time is different. But regardless, though, if I'm Tua, given the landscape of the quarterbacks that have gotten paid in his class and also in years past with Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones, it's not like he can't request this dollar amount because he had a fantastic regular season. Now, it's up to you if you want to pay him or not, but you shouldn't look at Tua in disgrace if he asks for $35+ million. Actually, no, it'll be more than that. It'll be around like what?
Probably like 40, 45.
Yeah, 45. So you can't look at Tua crazy.
I think DJ got what, 30, 35? I think DJ got 30 or 35.
I think he got 38.
But don't compare Daniel Jones. I get he got a big contract that everyone knows he didn't deserve all that money. But let's just be honest about this. First of all, I think Dak Prescott's no longer going to be the Cowboys quarterback, and a topic for another day, right? I think they're going to move on from him. I think Miami's going to move on from Tua. Whether they swap places, $40 million. That's ridiculous for Daniel Jones. No, I think Tua deserves his money. Maybe not from Miami, but whatever team is going to take a hold of Tua in his next destination, it's not going to be. I don't know. Like if you can't get it done with Tyreek Hill in my opinion, the best wide receiver in all of football.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you else going to get it done with? Same thing with Dak Prescott. You just have this limitation. Maybe Dallas is just too bright of a stage for you. But at this point, it's not even about Dallas. It's not even about Mike McCarthy or Kellen Moore or who was before McCarthy.
Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Sorry. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even about those guys anymore. You had a run game. You had one of the best running games. You had one of the best offensive lines. You've had one of the best skill position players. You've had some of the best offenses. You've had some of the best defenses. But guess what? Same result every January. Same result. And I know this is Tua's first playoff game, but everyone sees the writing on the wall with Tua. And it's not to, like I said, discredit him. He is a very good quarterback, but he has his limitations. So that's just where I'm at with him.
If you're the Dolphins, and given what you saw from Tua during the McDaniel tenure, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he comes up to you, what are you willing to pay him? If he says I want $45 million, 46, are you willing to pay him that?
I think Tua is going to be my second option. My first option before he even walks on that door and demands a certain amount of money is, can I upgrade from Tua? Is there someone I can identify in the draft that I think is worth either trading up for with, I don't even know how much capital Miami's got. I have to take a look at that. Or is there someone I can get via trade? Right? If I can identify a quarterback that is one, going to be cheaper, or two, going to be better, just as, or if not better than Tua, then I'm bringing that guy in here before I even think about paying Tua. Tua to me, if I'm Stephen Ross, or is Stephen Ross even, is he still owner? Is he still owner of the Dolphins? I'd have to double check though. But point being, if I'm Mike McDaniel, Tua is my second option at this point. He's my fallback. If all else fails, you know what? I'll still retain Tua. Yeah, I'll pay you $45 million a year. Because I don't think he's not worth that money, but I don't think that he's going to be the reason why you're going to make a deep postseason run. He's not. So you're going to have a lot to evaluate this offseason, but I'm of the mindset you either get someone in the draft that you think is just as, or if not better than Tua, or you go out there and make a trade. But I don't even know what quarterback would really be out there that's available that is a significant upgrade from a Tua Tagovailoa at this point, even a Dak Prescott. I think those guys are in the exact same tier in my eyes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the contracts right now, and like you mentioned draft, they're not in a position to draft a quarterback unless they trade up for Michael Penix Jr. or JJ McCarthy. I don't think neither one of those guys would be better than Tua, especially JJ
McCarthy would no, absolutely.
Yeah. So
that is not a first round quarterback.
So if you were to pay him and he comes to you and says, I want at least 45, 46, maybe 40, 48, just for
sure,
whatever, right? So looking at the quarterbacks that are making less than $49 million or at $49 million a year, you have Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson making 46, Kyler Murray's making 46.1, Patrick Mahomes making 45, Josh Allen's making 43, Matthew Stafford's making 40, Dak Prescott 40, Daniel Jones 40, Aaron Rodgers 37.5, Derek Carr 37.5, Kirk Cousins 35, Jared Goff 33, and Ryan Tannehill 29, and Geno Smith 25. So if I'm Tua, given my level of play these last 2 years, even last year before the injuries happened, because he was on pace to have another crazy year, I would say at least, dog, if you're a quarterback, you always want to reset the market. And I'm not going to say he's going to sit up and sit. And he's not going to get $50 million in my opinion. He shouldn't.
I'm not resetting the market with Tua though. I don't care what I'm not resetting the market with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I wouldn't do that either. I would say anywhere between 46 to 40 is reasonable in my opinion. I think 49 is a bit much, but anywhere between 46 to 40 is reasonable because I'm looking at Tua. I think Tua is better than Matthew Stafford. I think Tua is better than Daniel Jones. I think Tua is better than Aaron Rodgers right now. I think he's better than Kyler Murray. I think he's better than Deshaun Watson.
He's not better than Kyler Murray. He's not better. Well, Deshaun, I'll give him that. He's not better than Kyler Murray.
I don't know, dog. I think he's better.
I'm taking Kyler Murray. I'm taking Kyler Murray any day of the week over Tua.
Okay, let's go through real quick.
I would have said that even before the postseason.
All right, Tua or Russell?
Tua
or Kyler? You just said Kyler, right?
Kyler.
Tua or Deshaun?
As of right now, Tua, but I think a healthy Deshaun, if he plays to his potential, but I'll say Tua.
Okay. I'm not going to go Patrick or Josh. Tua or Matt Stafford?
Stafford.
Tua or Dak Prescott?
Dak slightly.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Tua or Daniel Jones?
Tua.
Tua or Aaron Rodgers?
healthy Rodgers.
Okay. Derek Carr or Tua? Or Tua or Derek Carr?
It's closer than people think, but it's Tua. It's neck and neck. Derek Carr's not a great quarterback, but it's close.
Tua or Jared Goff?
Oh, the tough one. I'll give it a Tua. It a Tua, but it's close.
And the last question, because he's also due for a contract extension after this year because they picked up his 5th-year option this past offseason.
Yep.
We're going to get into this later, but Tua or Jordan Love, who do you think gets paid more
Jordan
this
Love.
offseason? Okay.
Well, that's right.
It's
always
more,
weird.
Who's the better quarterback, and who would you pick?
Oh, no. Tua's going to get paid more. Okay. I think Tua's going to get paid more, but who am I taking? Jordan Love. I'm absolutely taking Jordan Love. This last stretch of what you've seen from him, I know they played a lot of garbage teams towards the bottom half of the season. That's beside the point. He's an ascending asset, a young asset right now that is going to continue to ascend. I'm taking Jordan Love any day of the week over Tua. Same thing. I'm taking CJ Stroud. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of quarterbacks that I'm taking over Tua. And like I said, I'd put somewhere Tua without off the top of my head. I'd put him somewhere between that 10 to 13 range.
I agree.
I think that's same thing with Dak. I don't want to just stat watch and everything. I think Dak and Tua are in that same class of very good quarterbacks that are not great. They're not going to be the reason why your team is successful in winning. They might be the second or third reason, but they're not going to be the number one reason. Those are range 10 to 12 quarterbacks in my eyes.
Like the great Cam Newton said, they are game managers.
Yes, Cam. Y'all hate on Cam a lot, but Cam speaks a lot of truth. Not everything. Definitely not everything, but Cam knows what he's talking about.
When an all-pro MVP quarterback speaks, you listen. But,
except for a cornerback that played for Legion of Boom that thinks he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't. Not everyone that's a former NFL player needs to talk. All right, let's go. Let's go ahead and talk Sunday football. We just got done talking about both of these quarterbacks, both Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. You gave a lot of respect to Jordan Love on the last podcast, saying there's conversations that we need to have about Jordan Love, and he is absolutely proving you right. He's backing you up, and Green Bay went in there and whooped the Dallas Cowboys' ass. Plain and simple. The Green Bay Packers, the 7th seed, became the first 7th seed to go into the wild card round and win a playoff game. Did it in Jerry World, where the Cowboys were 8-0 previous to this game at home. And the Green Bay Packers won this game 48-32.
I saw something very crazy on Twitter, and people are just so, just pity. Someone said this is why, after that game, we need to bring back second seeds having a bye week. Like, no, bro.
No.
Just because your team or team you root for or a team you like just got knocked off for the first time by a 7th seed as being a 2nd seed doesn't mean we should go back to what it was before. This is the definition of why it should be this way, because parity happens at times. It's not as often. Sunday, man. Any given Sunday, any given game day, parity happens at times. This loss was gut punching. I think this is the only game that I had coming into this week that I was fully confident, outside of the Chiefs and Dolphins, that my pick would win. The Cowboys got flat out embarrassed, dog. I know you're going to give your spiel too, and I'm going to give you your time, but Mike McCarthy got to go. It's inexcusable. Dan Quinn, he might be overrated. Like, this Dallas defense is stingy, they're aggressive, and they thrive off that in the regular season play against less than formidable opponents, right? But in the playoffs, these last few years, outside of last year, because I think Dallas' defense was better than this year's defense. People don't want to admit that, but it definitely was. Maybe because Trayvon Diggs was playing. But their defense was a lot better than last year, because I would say that the offense was the fault. But this year, the defense it had their moments, but they were terrible in the running game, right? They got exposed in a running attack. Aaron Jones had a magnificent performance last night as well. We're not going to discredit that. They predicated on man defense a lot this year, and they got exposed a lot of man defense because they didn't have the corners to keep up with opposing wide receivers.
A lot of blown coverages.
Beat like a drum last night. Romeo Doubs had a hell of a game. Luke Musgrave had his action. Deontay Wicks. Bo Milton had everybody ailed that offense besides Jaden Reed, and I'm pretty upset because I had him on my slip. But Jerry Jones, dog, he got some. Yesterday in his press, he looked defeated. He looked defeated because this was not supposed to happen. Dak Prescott showed his ass in that first half. He bounced back in the second half, but it was too late.
No, we
The
didn't.
connection.
I disagree, but go ahead.
He made some. He kept. I mean, he kept the offense going, I guess, at least, right? But offensively in that first half, they had no answer for what the Joe Barry and that Packers defense had at them. I thought that they're playing undisciplined. They came in unprepared, and that's just a sign pointing back to your head coach. I think Jerry Jones has to make the executive decision to get rid of Mike McCarthy, or, which I highly doubt, or just say, hey, man, I've been doing this for a very long time. I've accomplished championships. I'm getting older. There's a lot on my plate. I've tried everything to work. I brought in CeeDee Lamb. I brought in Dak Prescott. I paid Dak Prescott. We got him the offensive line. I brought in the defense. I got Dan Quinn. I brought in Mike McCarthy. I brought in championship experience. And we still can't get out of our own way. I've done my part. Let me just take a step back and just resign. Okay? Take a lesser role. Are you talking about
Jerry Jones?
Jerry Jones. Take a lesser role in the front office. Let my son make the picks because he's made good draft picks in the past and some solid executive decisions. I would say. I know Jerry Jones loves to harp on, oh, I got the right pick in Micah Parsons, so on and so forth. That's fine, whatever, right? Cool, boom. It was not hard to get Micah Parsons, but let your son run the team or someone else because you have tried your best. It's not enough. It's not enough. And I think with you leading the way, I don't believe in curses, but I don't know what you did in the 90s. I don't know what you did in life, but the football gods ain't fucking with you. They're just not. So give the team up because I think even bringing in Bill Belichick, which is probably going to be the next move to make it, his last splash move before he says it all, before he ends it all, he could bring in Bill Belichick. This team will be well prepared under Bill Belichick. They won't come in like this, but what if they still fail? I just feel as if you give the team up, let someone else run it. You sit back and take a lesser role. You can still show up to the games, parade around town. You did a lot of great things, Jerry Jones, but I think the Dallas Cowboys, with you leading the way, can't win it all. And they can't even get to a conference championship. They haven't been to the conference championship since 1995, dog. That's crazy.
Right. So look, two things real quick I want to ask you. So one, let's just assume in your hypothetical, right? Jerry Jones takes a step back, gives it to his son, Stephen Jones. Hey, look, I want you to make the executive decisions. I'm going to take a step back, even though I'm still going to be an intricate role in the organization. I'm still going to be the face of the organization. I'm going to just take a step back. In that hypothetical, if the Cowboys were to make a deep postseason run next season, and let's just say win it all, with Jerry Jones taking a step back, you really think he's not going to want to take credit for that? You really don't think that he's not going to want all the glamour and attention? Jerry Jones wants that. Like, he is so infatuated with the celebrity status that he has built upon himself as the wealthiest sports owner in the world, not just in the NFL, in the world. No, he is absolutely in, like, I want you to answer that because I'm genuinely curious. He wants that limelight and that attention, especially if they go out there and make a deep postseason run and they win it all.
I don't know Jerry Jones personally, of course. None of us do. I'm not going to sit up how he acts behind closed doors. Yeah. He probably would want some credit given from what we've seen in history. Like I said, he wanted all the credit and bashed his son damn near on the presser after drafting Micah Parsons because he said that he got that pick right and he's been parading that pick since he got it. Whatever, cool, that's fine. But he probably will want some credit. But at the end of the day, we all know deep down on the side, the direction that Jerry Jones is leading his team isn't good enough right now, man. And it probably will never be good enough with him leading the way. They just they need new faces in there, man. They got to bring in a new energy. I think it's tough playing for Jerry Jones, and I know Michael Parsons talked about it in the past. Like, it's tough playing for the Cowboys with so much limelight. I honestly believe if Jerry Jones just takes a step back, I think the pressure might not be on this Cowboys team. I mean, you have Jerry Jones being so damn active he's like the LeBron James of ownership, right? When Jerry Jones he's maneuvering the locker room, he's at the practices, he's all in on the coach's decisions. He might be damn near calling plays. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He has the say so and so much that goes wrong. I mean, goes right and wrong in this Cowboys organization that I feel like sometimes I think the reason why he hired Mike McCarthy or even kept Jason Garrett for so long is because he was able to be their puppet. Like he's there, he was the puppet. I mean, well, he was the puppet master. They were his puppets, right?
Correct.
And I think if you do bring in Bill Belichick and you are still owner, I think that also is a sign that, hey, I'm taking a step back because I have a 6-time championship head coach that can lead the way. I might not have to be involved as much as I was with Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy. That's my take on it as well. So either you get a team up, let someone else run it. You still sit in the back office, do your thing, right? You can parade around town. Let someone maybe your son or someone else in the facility, or you bring in some legitimate experience, someone that you can trust and not have to hold his hand and being in anywhere and everywhere, and let Bill Belichick run the show.
No, we let Bill Belichick run GM as well too, and we're kicking Stephen Jones.
Well, no, I will still let Stephen Jones make the picks. I don't think Bill Belichick's done a good job at drafting.
Then that means that Stephen Jones and Bill Belichick got to be on the same page.
I think they can. Bill Belichick has come out multiple times and said that he has, a lot of aspirations, however you say the word. Aspirations and respect for Jerry Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like he respects him. They respect each other. So I don't think there's going to be a back and forth and saying I don't think he's going to try to be like a puppet master to Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick is held such a high regard and they have that mutual respect for one another, right? So I think it could coexist. I really do believe it could. But yeah, that's my take on it. Either you give up the team, or you bring in Bill Belichick, you take a step back.
Yeah.
Either or, we need you to be hands off.
Look, I don't think none of that's wrong, because I think that in all those hypotheticals, both of them, like you bring a lot to the table that I think makes a lot of logical sense, that maybe Jerry Jones just can't see through his navy blue and silver glasses that he's wearing and that Kool-Aid. Couple of things that I want to address with that too is, one, I really don't want to stay long-winded with the Cowboys much longer after this. I want to give praise to Green Bay and Jordan Love, but I'll get to them in a moment. Getting back to Dallas, though, Jerry Jones, I think you're right, but he's absolutely not going to take a step back. He is infatuated, from what I can tell, even though I don't know the guy personally, with the attention, with the limelight. Like you said, wants to be involved in every practice, every meeting, every draft room, analysis, film room, etc. You name it, he wants to be involved in it. And people glamorize him, reporters, journalists, beat reporters, when it comes to, I want to talk to Jerry Jones. Forget Dak Prescott. Let's go talk to Jerry Jones. What is Jerry going to say? Right? He's the wealthiest sports owner in the entire world. So there's that. I don't think he takes a step back. Secondly, Mike McCarthy should have been fired last season, right? After that blunder with San Francisco. But forgetting just that, Mike McCarthy's absolutely should be gone, right? As we're recording this, or sometime this week. Dak Prescott needs to go. Dan Quinn needs to go. You need just new. I'm not saying that they need a tank. I'm not saying that they need to go out there and just blow the entire thing up with the personnel. But when it comes to the actual staff, they've clearly shown that they are not going to work together. This was the season with not only just a great roster to prove that, hey, Mike McCarthy said, hey, look, Jerry, give me one more chance. I'm going to get Kellen Moore out the door. I'm going to get the offensive coordinator who's not getting us the job done in January, because, yeah, despite us having a number one offense, I want to lean more on the run game. I want to call the plays, because that's how I won a Super Bowl with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. And look at where it got you. Every year, Mike McCarthy in the playoffs, they beat themselves, right? Don't get me wrong. The other team definitely comes in there and they whoop their ass, home or on the road, but they look ill-prepared every freaking January. Every time. You can't make this stuff up. That is absolutely on Mike McCarthy, and that's on Dan Quinn for consistently getting exposed. Clock management, we talked about it last season. Not properly using your timeouts, Mike McCarthy. Constantly having guys, like you said, jump off sides. Having guys blown coverages in the secondary. What was the one on special teams where he ran into the guy calling for a fair catch? Little things like that. And also Deron Bland on the first offensive drive. 15-yard, spot of the foul, pass interference, or holding call. Extending drives, extending plays, you're beating yourselves. And then Aaron Jones has 2 touchdowns on the season, and he gets 3. Barbecue chicken, man, in wild card round. Grows up in El Paso, comes home and beats the living hell out of the Dallas Cowboys. It is on coaching. And like I said, Dak Prescott has his fingerprints all over it. He needs to be gone too. I don't think anybody believes in him anymore, and the Dallas organization or the fan base should be. But no, they need to just absolutely blow it up. No more Dan Quinn, no more Mike McCarthy, no more Dak Prescott. Bring in new pieces. So that's just where I'm at with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I want to touch base on Green Bay real quick, because I had a whole spiel about the Dallas Cowboys.
Go ahead.
Hats off to them. I mean, another franchise that went in reboot mode basically this past offseason, and they're in the playoffs, looking great, man. I'm Jordan Love. I'm jealous of that franchise. How do you go from Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers to possibly Jordan Love being your third
I never want to hear a Packers fan ever
quarterback?
complain to me about football. I never want to hear a Packers fan mope or whine or cry about anything in their life football related.
Beautiful to see, man. Matt LaFleur, I tip my hat to you. Fantastic game plan. You had the motion offensively. You know, the misdirections confused the hell out of this aggressive-ass Dallas Cowboys defense. Jordan Love, big-time throw at the big-time throw. He graduated from the school of Aaron Rodgers. You can say what you want about Aaron Rodgers off the field, but when it comes to his on-the-field production, he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it, and you can see his game in Jordan Love, man. And it's credit to Jordan Love for, going from a Midwest quarterback, a Mountain West quarterback that could barely complete a pass consistently down the field with being inaccurate and, having the low completion percentages to now in year 4 being the guy, man. He sat back, he waited his turn. The Packers believed in him. They trusted him. That pick does not look crazy in hindsight now after so many complaints it was years before. It did put a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass. You got 2 MVPs out of him, and now you have a franchise quarterback. That is so crazy. You got 2 MVPs from Aaron Rodgers, 1 down season from Rodgers, and then the next exact year, you get Jordan Love, 30-plus touchdowns, playoff win.
Already looks like a top 10 quarterback. He's already a fringe top 10 quarterback.
Yes, I agree. He's a top 10 quarterback. I'm already stamping him with, because after 4 years, you know what you have in a quarterback. And if you would have been like Butt this year, you would have had okay, it's time to get a new sheriff in town, but you're not. He's leading the way for the foreseeable future. Defensively, Joe Barry, hats off to you. You've been pretty much inconsistent this entire year, but you locked in defensively and you shut the water off in this Cowboys offense. So, hats off to, the entire Packers organization. They got a very bright future, man. They got some young studs at the receiver department. Their offensive line is getting better, even without guys like, what's the guy's name?
Bakhtiari.
Bakhtiari. He's going to be going this offseason, but it doesn't matter because you have a very serviceable, really underrated left tackle. Very talented, in my opinion. But yeah, hats off to the Packers, dog. Fantastic game. Didn't expect it. A beautiful outcome, man. You can't ask for a better result from the Packers if you're a fan of that team.
Definitely not. Now, look, I picked the Cowboys to win that game. I like Green Bay to cover, 7.5-point favorites. I didn't think that they would come out and win. I shouldn't be surprised that the Cowboys fell off like this. And the last thing I want to say before I give a lot of credit to Green Bay is Micah Parsons. Where the hell was he? Worst game of his career? 1 pressure on that 1 quarterback hit and 1 solo tackle.
Well, it goes back to
he was a ghost. DeMarcus Lawrence, a vet, a 10-year vet in Dallas, 10, 11-year vet. One of the best edges and most respected edges in the game. Consistent blunders. These guys were an absolute no-show.
I'll say this. I think this goes back to Matt LaFleur and his game plan, man. Like I said, the misdirections and motions had Dan Quinn in a chokehold. Like, he did nothing. And when you're able to do that, when you're able to, shift the opposing defense to one side of the field while your offense is countering that, you're going to thrive. Jordan Love barely got touched that game. He got hit a few times, but Michael Parsons was a non-factor. I think that, like I said, the right tackle that was on Michael Parsons, both tackles actually, had phenomenal performances. But when you're moving a lot so much offensively, it gives you hell. And the Dan Quinn defense struggles with that. That's why looking on it now, I'm not sure if the Seattle Seahawks should hire Dan Quinn, because if you go to the NFC West, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, all they run is West Coast offenses. So if you can't handle what Matt LaFleur just did, only imagine what, those guys out there will do to you in the regular season, 4 total times out the season.
Right.
Well, yeah, so.
And Kyler Murray's going to cook too. That he's going to cook.
Jonathan Gannon got the run game going out there. So, you know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know, man. Dan Quinn is looking very questionable, fraudulent in my eyes right now.
Very much so. And like you said, I give a lot of credit to LaFleur too. They ran the ball right at the A gap, consistently said, hey, we're not going to run it at Micah Parsons, which even then, he's not a phenomenal run-stopping edge, right? He can set the edge, but he's not like let's say like a Trayvon Walker, right, who we're kind of accustomed to setting the edge, being that dominant force right there. We're going to run the ball up the gap, just being honest. We're going to run the ball up the gap, and we're going to gash them. And that's exactly what they did. Getting a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of misdirection, like you said. And the threat of Jordan Love in the play action, in the bootleg, getting him out of the pocket, that opens up the box for an Aaron Jones as well too. And the Packers offensive line did a hell of a job like I said, they gashed that Cowboys defense, and you just give a lot of credit to LaFleur. You give a lot of credit to Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and the entirety of that offense, how much they've really came together in this last back half of the season where they were really sporadic, towards the first 8-9 weeks of the season. They found a way to put it all together, man. You got to give a lot of credit to them. Just hell of a performance by them. And then I quickly want to say with Green Bay's defense, same thing, hell of a performance. They went out there as soon as Aaron Jones got that first touchdown on the opening drive. Green Bay, I think, 3 and out? I think Green Bay's defense, maybe it wasn't 3 and out, but they stopped him. They limited him consistently, getting CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. They were not on the same page. We're not on the same wavelength. Rattled them. Jair Alexander had a huge bounce back game from him coming back off an injury. Even though Christian Watson was limited on the offensive side of the ball, still having him out there. Darnell Savage, pick 6 to the house, reads Dak Prescott's eyes. You see Dak out there, first of all, eyeing CeeDee Lamb the entire time, right? Talking pre-snap. He comes across the middle. Darnell jumps that route and to the house. Just incredible game. And also Kenny Clark was living in that backfield.
Ooh,
that is a monster.
Yeah,
I mean, just unbelievable game by the Packers on every single level. All the credit in the world goes to them.
You can just tell who wanted it more at the end of the day, and it was obvious.
And you could tell who was more prepared. Absolutely. It was obvious from the first snap what team came out prepared and what team looked like they had a lot of good preparation throughout the week. But let's move off of the Packers and the Packers and the Cowboys game. Let's go into the other NFC matchup that we had. Detroit Lions. What was it? 32 years in the making, I believe. 32 years in the making, and they get their first playoff win at home at Ford Field over their former quarterback Matthew Stafford. Huge ups to the Detroit Lions. They win this game 24-23. Just wow. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but here we are.
Yeah, man. I found it so funny coming to this game. You said that if Lions fans were to lose to anybody, they were to lose to Matt Stafford. You saw the pregame? You saw the pregame? Yes, I saw
they booed the shit out of Matthew Stafford.
That's exactly how it needs to be. That's how it should have been. Shitting me. That's how it should have been.
Real quick, hypothetical. If, we're 9-10 years down the road and God forbid Trevor Lawrence isn't the quarterback in Jacksonville anymore, and the Jags have a playoff game in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence is playing for God knows who, I'm going to have a soft spot. I'm going to have a soft spot for the guy. It doesn't mean I'm going to root for him, but it doesn't also mean that, it's such a weird thing to explain because you know what I'm trying to say.
I get it, but the Jaguars go through 9 to 10 more years of pathetic football, and we don't make a playoffs, and I'm going on 36. Well, I'm 36 with no playoff appearances in the last 10 years.
That ain't going to happen.
I'm going to boo the hell out of them.
It ain't gonna be on Trevor, but go ahead.
I mean, no disrespect, I know Trevor has done hypothetically speaking, I know Trevor would have done his best to get us to where we need to be, and I know the front office more likely would have failed him, stuff like that. But no, he is trying to stop us from accomplishing something that we haven't seen in our lifetime.
Yes.
A very special moment for the city of Detroit.
Yes, I get that. And I'm happy for Detroit. I said Ford Field, those fans will be rocking. Yes. They said 45 minutes before game time, every seat was filled.
Oh yeah, they were locked in, and they're about to have another playoff game at home too. But rest in peace to SOL. Same old Lions, man. It's done. Yeah. That's what they call it, the SOL, same old Lions, right? Matthew Stafford was a bit, a little, pissy after the game. It looked like I felt as if he was going. I think he thought he was going to get a better standing ovation. He might get it in the regular season, right? But it's the playoffs, dog. Detroit, stand up, man. I mean, oh boy, 30. I can only imagine.
Wingstop for everybody. No, wrong team.
I can only imagine how this feels as a Lion. I'm getting goosebumps right now because as a Jaguars fan, we complain. We've been through a lot of poverty as well, but we've had playoff success.
We in the same boat.
We are, but
it's sporadic. It's not consistent. It's sporadic as hell.
Yes, when we go to the playoffs, we make noise, right? We might be ass, but we make noise when we're good. The Detroit Lions have not been good for a long time. They've been 0-16 at one point. Man. 32 years, that's 32 years, bro. That's a generation. 3 decades.
That's multiple generations.
Yes, that is 2 generations. No, at least 2 generations.
At least 2.
3 decades of football, playoff football not being won in the city of Detroit. That is crazy to me. I know it's very emotional. Hats off to them, Dan Campbell and their GM. I forgot his name, last name Ham. I talked about it previously. having, the GM and head coach being on the same accord.
Correct.
It's beautiful to see.
And
Nick Casario.
Yes.
You're seeing that with Dan Campbell and the Lions GM. They have that connection. I saw the post game. They were loving on each other, respectfully. Pause.
Yeah.
But, they were very happy, man. Like they had a game
ball,
plan.
Man.
They got the game ball. They had a game plan in these last 3 years, and it's come into fruition. Now going into the game, I think both quarterbacks played excellent. Now, Matthew Stafford might have got booed, but he played his ass off. He played magnificent. In my opinion, he still outperformed Jared Goff. But, it wasn't enough. I think Sean McVay, I got a lot of respect for Sean McVay. I've gained a lot of respect for Sean McVay this year. I felt as if in years past he might have been carried by championship-worthy players. And I think this year he had a tall task. I even questioned him during the offseason, right, if he's going to just give up and quit during a potential rebuild. And he showed me a lot this year, right? And I have a lot of respect for him. He is a definite top 10 head coach. But yesterday, I thought a bit at times he was very conservative. I think he took the ball out of his hot quarterback's hands and relied too much on his defense to get stops. I think they were poorly executed offensively in the red zone. I think they were very predictable. They tried to run a bunch of wheel concepts and, out routes for Cooper Kupp. It wasn't working. And I think going into next year, he said what?
So you got to feed the beast.
You got to feed the beast. You got to feed them, but at the same time, the Lions are prepared for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they settled for 3 too much. Also, late in the fourth quarter, I think you had a time to have some more. I mean, like I said, I know you trust your defense, but I think the clock management was a bit bad. You didn't call a timeout before the 2-minute warning, and you had to stop the Detroit Lions with 2nd and 5, and you couldn't do it. And that was essentially the ball game, right? But yeah, I mean, like, the Lions are in a rebuild mode. They still achieved a lot this year. They finished 10-7 or 9-8, whatever the record was. But it's a bit unfortunate. They have a very bright future, though. Puka Nacua, playoff debut out of this world for a receiver. 9 receptions, 182 yards, 1 touchdown. The most receiving yards by rookie in NFL history in the playoffs. He is without a doubt, in my opinion, wide receiver 1 entering next year for the LA Rams. Not saying Cooper Kupp isn't a wide receiver 1 either. I just think there's a huge emphasis on who the guy is in that offense at a receiving position, and it's definitely Puka Nacua. Defensively, what I'm saying, they have their moments as well. But, credit to the Detroit Lions, dog. They are an all-grit team. The running attack wasn't working as much as it was in previous games. But Jared Goff made big-time throw at the big-time throw. That just shows the confidence that's been instilled by Dan Campbell into Jared Goff. I mean, way to go out, dog. Like, you beat the former team that quit on you. That quit on you. Say you weren't good enough. They got the quarterback for the team. They got the quarterback from the team you currently play for. And they won the Super Bowl without you being there. I know you were in a dark place, man, but to go out there and get your revenge revenge is the sweetest thing possible, dog. And I know he's living on cloud nine right now. And just hats off to the Lions organization, dog. Beautiful thing to see. They're possibly, in my opinion, a conference, a championship appearing team for sure. I think they're gonna wax whoever they play out of the Eagles and Bucks next round.
They will. I think that they will absolutely take care of business at Ford Field again. Yeah, versus Philadelphia or Tampa, whoever wins that game tonight. You guys obviously are seeing this pod on a Wednesday or later in the week, so you guys will already know the winner. We're recording this on a Monday. No, huge just ups and praise. Like you said, I'm just getting goosebumps hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, man.
About Detroit and that fan base, man. And it's something that me and Darian can relate to a whole lot. Coming from an organization, coming from a city that has not built a proper football team throughout our entire lifetime, right? We've had moments of playoff success, and when we're on our high, we are on the highest of highs. We go out there and we make playoff noise. We are never a one and done. And there's always some kind of hope with our team, but we haven't had sustained success. We've never had that. We've never had it all figured out. And when we do get to those moments where we do get to those highs, which is few and far in between, we make that noise, and it is very heartfelt. So for Detroit fans everywhere, I'm so happy for you guys. I never thought I'd see the day where Detroit was going to go out there and make some noise. It just feels like consistently, like you said, they're not the same old Lions anymore. They're not SOL. This is a different organization, a different culture, a different regime, and a different feel around this team. And that starts with Dan Campbell, and it starts with their general manager as well, too. And they have built up sustained success and the right players and the right pieces around Jared Goff since acquiring him. It didn't just take one offseason. You could see the pieces coming together, but some notable ones I can take off the top of my head. Going up and trading for, they traded up for Jahmyr Gibbs, didn't they?
They traded up for Jamison Williams.
And Jamison Williams, but I thought they traded up for both. They definitely traded up from 30.
They might have, yeah.
Right, but nonetheless, you go out there and you invest early round picks and you trade a lot to go and get Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, right? You bring in David Montgomery through free agency. You get Sam Laporta, right? Amon-Ra turns into one of the best wide receivers in the game of football, undoubtedly top 5, top 7, somewhere in that conversation. And then defensively, you bring in guys like, I know there's a lot of speculation with him right now, but Kirby Joseph is a very good safety, right? Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, etc. You go out there and you continue to develop the players that you bring into the organization. And you have a vision, like Dan Campbell said, and you see it all coming together. These guys believe in each other. They're all on the same page. And the works it shows when the front office and the coaching staff is all on the same page, have the same goals, and they're thinking with the same mindset, it will do wonders for your team and your fan base. If only some other organizations could figure that out.
Yeah.
It would change a lot, but just I'm very excited and I'm very happy for the Detroit Lions team. And last thing I'll say with all of that is Matthew Stafford and that Rams team, I think they overachieved. Like you said, I didn't think that they were going to make the postseason. I thought that they were going to be a subpar 500 team, maybe like 7-9, 7-10 now, I guess. Maybe 8-9, but they played their asses off. And Matthew Stafford played a hell of a game, especially with that injury. I think the helmet came down. He had to get, patched up a little bit as well too. Matthew Stafford is still in that fringe top 10 quarterback conversation. He played a hell of a game. Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams didn't get the ball as much as I wanted him to, but I understand with the flow of the game. Just a great game by this Rams team. They've got nothing to be upset about too.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams have a very bright future. They hit on a lot of their late round picks, dog. I mean,
they did.
Puka, Kyron, Kobe, Durant.
Tutu.
You saw who?
Shout out to Tutu.
Yeah, Tutu.
I wanted him in Jacksonville a couple seasons ago, but Jacksonville. Jaguars are going to Jaguar. So
man. I mean, they got a very bright future, and they're only going to get better going forward. You know what I'm saying? But for Detroit, like you said, man, I'm jealous, dog. Like when you have the general manager and head coach on the same accord, dog. This is why when you clean house, you clean freaking house, dog. You don't go out there and just try to patch up gun wounds. You wipe the whole thing. You wipe the whole thing from existence. You go out there and get your general manager. He makes the head coaching hire. He finds someone that he can relate to, who he can build around and be his guy. That's why Kevin O'Connell and the general manager of the Vikings are so damn good right now, right? And that's why the Rams, Sean McVay and their general manager, they're on the same accord. They're very good right now. Same thing with the Dolphins and their GM with Mike McDaniel. I mean, like the teams, if you look around that are having success consistently, are building something very special, have the general manager and head coach on the same accord.
Same page.
And then the third option is the quarterback, right? Once you get the quarterback right, and I think they got it right, Jared Goff, you're good. And then everything else just falls into play. I mean, I'm looking at the draft picks, thinking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, right?
I forgot to mention him too.
Penei Sewell, Kirby Joseph, the following year, Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, big time pickers, even though J-Mo hasn't really became the player we all thought he could. He still has plenty of time, in my opinion. Jahmyr Gibbs, big time pickup. Everybody thought that what are they doing drafting a running back that high?
It's when you pick a guy who's a dynamic playmaker, a guy who's explosive, that can do a lot of things out of the backfield.
Yes.
And in the receiving game, you're not just taking a downhill running back that's like a Derrick Henry prototype that's going to burn out in 5-6 years, like we saw Zeke coming out of Ohio State. Same thing with Travis Etienne. You have guys that are Swiss Army knives.
Exactly.
So absolutely.
Sam Laporta, in the OC, Ben Johnson, who more than likely will be going after this year, but even trusting Aaron Glenn one more season, right? Or Anthony Glenn, I forgot his. I know Coach Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Giving him another year to prove himself. A lot of times we give up on these coordinators because of what they've been able to put on the field, but they said, hey, we're going to go into the direction. We're going to figure out what we can be good at and excel at, right? And this year, they were very good at stopping the run. Their passing defense is still pretty bad, but they predicated on stopping the run this year and making teams one-dimensional. And if you get beat that way, you get beat that way. And look at the record, the 12-5. It's hard to win consistently in this league if all you can do is pass and, you're thriving off that. So, yeah, man, hats off to them. Beautiful sight. We all knew at the end of the last year they were going to have a very strong season, given the fact of how they ended off, seeing the season, spoiling the Packers playoff chances and stuff like that. But 12-5, man, 13-5 now. Beautiful stuff, dog. Like I said, they're going to be in the NFC Championship game against the Niners in a few weeks, in my opinion.
That is going to be a great football game to watch as well, too. Very excited for that game. But let's kind of go ahead and move into these Monday Night Football matchups. We obviously were supposed to have Buffalo and Pittsburgh playing last night on Sunday, but obviously that game got postponed due to the weather. I still think tonight the weather is going to be severe out there. I don't know how.
It's clear.
No. I just mean in terms of like the temperature and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay,
Wind chill, all that stuff. I'm not necessarily the snowfall and stuff like that as well too, because I know that they're clearing all that stuff out at least to the best of their ability. But no, that is going to be, I think, a much better game than people expect. I don't think Buffalo is going to go out there and blow the Pittsburgh Steelers out, especially a Mike Tomlin led Steelers. I think this is still going to be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it. The game's actually at 4:30, so about 2 hours from now, as we're recording this video. So, Darian, go ahead. Just kind of give me your final thoughts. I know we talked about it last week. Just really what you're looking forward to with this game.
I think Buffalo wins. I'm looking at the weather. They kind of posted on their social media page. It's clear. It's cold as crap. But the passing attack will still be there. Will be there today. You know what I'm saying? It won't be like this Oakland Raiders versus New England Patriots game. You know what I'm saying? The what do they call it? The infamous tuck rule game.
Yeah, the tuck rule game.
Yeah. So it won't be like that. You know what I'm saying? But
no,
Buffalo
is a 9.5 point favorite.
Yeah. I think it's tough for me to say that this Steelers team can keep this game close, given the fact that I do believe TJ Watt is a huge difference maker in this defense, and with him not being out there, they look totally different defensively.
Correct.
Now I will say Mike Tomlin will love this game to go into the fourth quarter being down by one score or 3 points or less than one score. I think that kind of plays into his favor a lot because of that.
And then relying on Josh Allen to make a turnover that flips the game.
Indeed, that as well. So I think guys like Casey Hayward or Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith and Minka Fitzpatrick had to have the game of their lives. You know what I'm saying? We've seen Minka take over games before as well. It's very hard for a safety to do that, given the fact that it's just hard flat out. But like you said, Josh Allen turns the ball over a lot, and I'm pretty sure Minka can definitely grab him one tonight. So I still think the Buffalo Bills win. I think Joe Brady offensively knows what's at stake. I think he's going to try to control the game a lot. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be like a 25 or 24 to 20 type of game. Maybe even 17 to 3. I don't know. Something weird.
Yeah.
I think Joe Brady's going to lean on James Cook a lot. I think Josh Allen's going to get busy on a running attack as well with his legs. And I think it's going to come down to the Buffalo Bills being able to stop what Mason Rudolph and that Pittsburgh Steelers offense has done these last few weeks, which is run the ball effectively and, of course, make big-time throws in key moments. I think if they do that, they walk out this game, unscathed, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I like Buffalo to still take care of business at home, right? I hope everyone that is going to that game is going to be safe because I still can't imagine those weather conditions right there on the road and stuff too. But no, I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I like Buffalo to win this game. I'm going to say 24-17, right? I think Pittsburgh covers. I think 9.5 is a lot of points, especially in what's probably going to be a low-scoring affair, even with Mason Rudolph at the helm. I think that this is going to be a really big for Buffalo, Kincaid and Gabe Davis day, right? I know you'd like to lean on your run game, like to lean on James Cook, but I think that's the first thing Buffalo's going to take away. Pittsburgh's going to take away from Buffalo. Mike Tomlin and that defense and that front seven wants to limit what James Cook can do. Let Josh Allen beat you, especially in inclement weather conditions where at any given moment, Josh Allen might be your best player for the Steelers. He might very well be the reason why you're in the game late with 2-3 turnovers at costly times where they're in plus territory. It could be a handful of things, and sometimes Josh Allen beats himself too. So I'm really looking forward to Gabe Davis and Dalton Kincaid, I think, having a big game in this weather. I think Stephon Diggs and James Cook are going to be guys that are going to try to take away first and foremost, and then you let Josh Allen try to beat you. But I like Buffalo to win this game 24-17. That's kind of be my final thoughts of that game. And then let's move into the nighttime game at Raymond James Stadium, the depleted Philadelphia Eagles, where Jalen Hurts is not going to be 100%. There's not going to be A.J. Brown. And Nick Sirianni, his ass might be on the hot seat. Very well could be after this game. We'll see what happens tomorrow as we, monitor the situation on a Tuesday. But Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh, boy, it's going to be a very interesting game, man. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, the regular season tells the full truth, no matter if it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
The Philadelphia Eagles have been terrible to end this year. They're damn near been the Jaguars, right? If they didn't get off to their early great start to the season, if they would have been 8-3 like the Jags, they would have missed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
After going 10-2, they've been. Then they lost out of the last 5 games, 6 games, whatever. They've only won one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was against a bad Giants team who beat them the last game of the year while the starters were playing.
Convincingly beat them.
They lost to the Arizona Cardinals. They got lost to the Seattle Seahawks. They got whipped by the Cowboys and Niners.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to say the Eagles will win this game. It really is. I won't lie to you. The Buccaneers have been a gritty team the entire season. They haven't been winning pretty either, but they've been getting the job done. They handled the Jaguars. They lost to the Saints, but they beat the Carolina Panthers. Yes.
Yeah.
By a 9-0 win. Something that's going to be the deciding factor in this game is that championship defense is healthy for the Buccaneers. It's still there. Levante, Devin White, Carlton Davis,
Vita Vea, all those boys.
Vita Vea, Jamal Dean. They're all Jamel Dean. They're all there.
Antoine,
arguably the best safety in football. They're ready. Todd Bowles will look at that Eagles offense and say, "You guys don't have AJ Brown tonight. All you have is Devontae, Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, and Julio Jones, Jalen Hurts,
and a banged up Jalen Hurts,
who has a damn near bent in index finger on his throwing hand. Buddy, I want you to beat us tonight. We're going to stop the running attack. I want you to beat us tonight. Show us that you can beat us. I don't want to say you can't, but I don't think you will. I got the Buccaneers winning tonight. I thought about it for some time. And even on my TikTok, I said the Eagles will win, but I'll be wrong. I'll flip my pick again. I didn't know AJ Brown was going to be out. That was before.
Before we knew. Yeah,
I got the Buccaneers winning. I think Baker goes out there. If you don't know, the Eagles have the 30th ranked passing defense, or the 30th ranked passing defense in the NFL. They're damn near terrible. I mean, they're allowing every quarterback to gut them like a fish.
Bradbury has been getting his ass whooped.
Darius Slay has been getting whipped as well. Their safeties have been terrible. Their linebackers are terrible. I mean, I'm expecting Baker Mayfield to go for at least
Kobe D, man, what happened?
Tonight. I'm not sure the linebacker coaches out there, but he has to do better because Kobe Dean was a special talent in Georgia. I just refuse to believe he can't figure it out in the pro level. And I know it's hard to translate that sometimes, but or translate sometimes, but still, the Kobe Dean is still has a lot of talent. On my opinion, the Eagles defense overall is terrible, man. I mean, terrible defense.
It is.
And I think the Buccaneers do enough. I think they win this game, especially being at home. I got them winning at least about 28-21, 28-20. It could be 28-13. Who knows? Yeah. I just know for these last few weeks, the Eagles have shown us nothing, and they could turn that switch. They could flip that switch because they have championship experience and conference championship pedigree. But I've yet to see this entire season during the back half of the schedule. And I think that matters come postseason. So give me the Buccaneers at home tonight.
Okay, so give me a final score for that game, though.
28-20.
28-20, you like Tampa Bay winning.
They'll score a late touchdown. Try to kick an onside kick. They won't get it, and it'll be ball game.
I think Tampa wins this game convincingly.
Okay.
Convincingly wins this game. I think Tampa wins this game. You ready for this?
I'm listening.
37-17. I think they win this game double digits, 20 points. I like Tampa.
What was the score again? It cut out. My bad. What was the score again? It cut out.
37-17. I like Tampa to win this
I'm
game
not
by
mad
20
at that,
points.
brother. I'm not mad at that whatsoever.
I think Baker Mayfield and this team goes down on their first offensive drive of the game because they're going to win the coin toss. They're going to take the ball. Baker Mayfield's going to hit Mike Evans in the left corner of the end zone. And this Tampa Bay team is going to get rolling in front of that home crowd at Raymond James. And I would pick the Eagles if A.J. Brown was there. Even with a depleted Jalen Hurts, who's not going to be at 100%, I would have taken the Eagles if A.J. Brown had been there, just to give yourself a little bit more glimmer of a hope. But I think that window's closed. Tampa Bay is going to go in there. They're going to win this game. Not sure how much further they're going to go in the postseason, but that's besides the point. They've overachieved this season. Todd Bowles, and like you said, that defense is going to be ready for Jalen Hurts and that offense that is nowhere near the same offense that it was, just last season that went to the Super Bowl. I like Tampa Bay to win this game. Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield have a huge game. Not necessarily sure if Rachaad White has a big game with that Eagles front seven. They will rely upon that run game in the second half, but Baker Mayfield and this team is going to come out gunning this game, and I like them to win this game convincingly. Give me Tampa Bay 37-20 in this matchup. 37-17, excuse me, but to win by 20.
I'm not mad at that whatsoever, man. That's a good pick. Now, it's going to be some very uncomfortable conversations to be had this offseason with the Eagles. They probably won't fire
Sirianni,
given the fact that, he has had the injury bug this entire season mainly, and I think they're going to give him the opportunity to get the head coach and the coordinators right. I think they're going to let Ben Johnson walk. They're going to let Sam Desai walk. They're going to let Matt Patricia walk. But it is definitely interesting to say the least, dog. They said They said it could be an NFC East shakeup this year in the offseason. It could be Mike McCarthy. It could be Nick Sirianni. It could be both of them getting fired. So we'll see. But I know Howie Roseman isn't about halfway stepping, though. He got rid of Doug Peterson.
Yeah, real quick.
Well,
because Doug Peterson wanted Press Taylor to become the offensive coordinator, and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, the owner and the GM, said, no, we don't want Press Taylor to be the offensive coordinator. And because Doug Peterson wanted to hire within the organization. He wanted to bring guys up the ranks, right? So even if it wasn't Press, he wanted to build his guys up, his staff members, and continue to employ these guys and build them up the ranks. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie wanted to hire guys outside of the organization, bring in coordinators outside of Philadelphia. And as soon as Doug brought Press Taylor to the table and said, I want this guy to be my OC, they said, absolutely not. It's either you're going to get the hell out or you're going to hire another OC. And Doug Peterson said, I'm sticking with Press. And look at what it got him. It got him a year on his ass watching football during the COVID year. Press Taylor went to Indianapolis, and now Jacksonville is in the same predicament. Now, look, Press Taylor and Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke are not going to get fired this offseason. It would have happened by now probably, but you are damned to repeat history if you don't learn from your mistakes, right? Something along those lines. You're doomed to repeat history if you don't learn from the past. So
the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. I mean, different results.
Yep, that's real shit.
So
it's tough, man. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, they're not about BS. The city of Philadelphia is not about BS. It is about expecting results and being competitive and at least having the heart of a champion. And if Nick Sirianni can't get this, if they get embarrassed tonight, it's one thing to lose, right?
Oh yeah.
If they get embarrassed tonight, his ass is probably gone. I would.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go in there and they whoop the Philadelphia Eagles ass tonight, as I'm recording this, no, Nick Sirianni's job should be gone. If they keep it competitive and they lose a close game, we'll say one possession. Maybe he's gone, but maybe there's a little bit more leniency there, considering the injuries that Philadelphia is currently dealing with.
If they get embarrassed, he deserves to be gone. If they come in there unprepared, they get whipped from start to finish, he got to go. Like imagine him going down 42-10. We've seen blowouts this entire postseason.
48-16 like we saw yesterday, but that coach hasn't been fired yet.
It could very well it could happen with them. So, but they lose close or win this game, I think his job is safe. But, that's my take on it. We'll see. We'll talk about it next Monday.
We will. And I think it would be honestly good riddance if they went to Detroit and got their ass whooped too, though. If Philly did that, especially with Gardner Johnson, and everything that happened with him this offseason, leaving Philadelphia, going to Detroit, and then just, I don't know. I think that'd just be hilarious at Ford Field as well, too. But we'll wait and see.
Real quick, do we have more time for the possible the ifs of the playoff matchups?
Or what do you mean by the playoff matchups? Like
the Ravens. They'll more than likely be playing the Texans if the Buffalo Bills win tonight. How would you like that game just quickly? You ain't got to go into a long
man, I mean, I like Baltimore to go out there and win that game. I think CJ Stroud, even with that incredible Baltimore secondary and that defense, I think CJ Stroud's still going to go out there and produce. I think he's just that damn talented. But I would like Lamar Jackson off of a bye week and the team Harbaugh is going to bring to the table. I like Baltimore to take care of business at M&T Bank Stadium. And they would beat Houston, I think, rather convincingly. But, it's still going to be a competitive game. But I'd like Baltimore to win that game by like 10, 13 points.
I agree. I mean, I predict the Buffalo Bills to win tonight, so
Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and pencil in the Texans. I feel as if this game is going to be very fun. It could be very competitive at first. I think the Baltimore Ravens will pull away towards the end. I just feel as if, like I said, playoffs tell you the full truth the entire season of the regular season, right? Good or bad. And I think the good has been shown from this Ravens team that they have a very stout defense, and their offense has been clicking at the right time, and the defense has been able to shut off the best offenses in football, most notably the 49ers towards the back half of that schedule. The only thing is, though, the Ravens did rest their starters in the last week 18, and they had a week off of football, and now they're playing next week, which is damn near 2 weeks off of football, right?
Right.
And the Texans are coming off fresh, right?
Yeah.
Fresh.
That definitely works to your advantage, in my opinion.
Exactly. They played
having that kind of rhythm.
Exactly. They played their last game on that Saturday to get into the playoffs. They played this past Saturday against the Browns, and now they're playing in 3 consecutive weeks. So they're fresh and ready to go. So I expect them to look more polished and well-oiled than the Ravens initially. But I think the Ravens grabbed the win at home. I think it's Lamar Jackson's year. Bills and Chiefs. What do you think?
That's gonna be an interesting one, just because we always talk about the headline with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, two of the premier quarterbacks going up head to head. And Mahomes has always had his number, right? That's just kind of what we're accustomed to at this point. Mahomes had everyone's number, really, except for Joe Burrow, which I guess he got his revenge last season. Point being, I like Josh Allen and this Bills team. They are a well-rounded team compared to what Kansas City's presented, even with KC's defense really stepping up tall to the task as of late. I would like Josh Allen and that Bills team to go in there and win. And they would be, let's see, the 2 seed. They would be playing in Buffalo. Yeah, and Mahomes has never gone on the road. Mahomes, his first road playoff game, he's catching an L. That's I'm penciling that in.
So I'm going to say there's going to be a lot of conversations about Patrick Mahomes making his first playoff road start, right?
Yeah.
A lot of talk about that. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a road game at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a playoff atmosphere, but it's not like he's been in it's not like he hasn't been in a gutsy atmosphere before, right? There were 6-2 on the road this season.
Right, but when we're talking postseason at home at Arrowhead, right? He's got the crowd working to his advantage.
That's
right?
True.
They're quiet on offense.
They're
quiet on offense. So that defense, when they step up on the field at Arrowhead, right? Kansas City's defense, they're the ones that have to communicate and make sure that they're all on the same page. I think there's definitely going to be an adjustment there, something Mahomes has not had to deal with yet in his career.
I agree. I think the offense, like we've been seeing this entire year, they're going to come out and not be their best, right? I think Patrick Mahomes could struggle. It's going to come down to this defense once again, like we've been seeing this entire season. This defense is good enough to win a championship, in my opinion, if the offense just showed a glimmer of hope, right? I think this defense is going to be able to shut down Josh Allen and the offense. This offense, yes, it has been on a winning streak since Joe Brady has stepped in, but it's still not sexy enough, in my opinion. They struggled against the Dolphins to begin the game. Of course, they pulled away late because the Dolphins got conservative. You know what I'm saying? They were able to run the ball effectively against the Cowboys. So I get those games that happened, but the Chiefs are the better defense out of all the teams they faced, in my opinion. The Chiefs are well-rounded defensively, running attack, passing attack. I know Josh Allen.
Their secondary stepped up a lot this season.
Exactly. And I know they know each other very well, right? And I think that plays more into the Chiefs' favor because they know how to stop Josh Allen, right? And I think this year the Bills did stop Patrick Mahomes, but it was a bit fluky, right? We all know what happened in that game.
Yeah.
NVS. I think he dropped a big-time catch.
He did.
I think that was the game, or they didn't call it pass interference, something like that, and Patrick Mahomes cried about
it. Kadarius Toney,
yes. That was the game Patrick Mahomes had the refs. Yeah, the refs were the exciting factor of this game and stuff like that. And, whatever. I think the Chiefs win. They get back to the conference championship. We'll talk about that next week after the game. But I think the Chiefs, like I said, they remind me of these boys right here. I'm not counting them out until the clock hits 0-0.
Yeah,
I think they find a way to win Patrick Mahomes' first playoff road start.
I will be damned if they go into Buffalo, and we're assuming a healthy Buffalo team. If they go into Buffalo and they win a road playoff game with the way Kansas City's looked all season, I'll give it up. I will absolutely give it up, and they will win the AFC at that point. They will beat Baltimore at that point. They will beat Baltimore at that point. Because at that point it's just destiny. But also, I feel like if we see a questionable call in that Buffalo game,
we will.
That's going to go in the favor of Kansas City because one, the refs are going to want that back on their side after what had occurred in the regular season, but also Swift, the money, the revenue, the branding, the image, the everything that comes with her, the amount of revenue, it just boggles my mind. It's so scripted. It's so scripted if Kansas City beats Buffalo. And I'm sorry, it is scripted as hell. If they go into Buffalo the way they performed this year and they get a questionable call, like we saw we didn't mention it with the Rams, with Puka Nacua and in the Lions, where there was a blatant holding call in the secondary that did not get called, that should have advanced the ball down the field towards the end of the game. Yeah. We're going to see some BS like that that's going to work in favor of Kansas City, and they're going to win that game. And yeah, well, I'm gonna be pissed because I'm so sick and tired, like a lot of us are, about hearing about Taylor Swift and her boyfriend.
That Puka Nacua call was pretty crazy. He got held and he got hit late.
Very
obvious is all that. But one, you never want to put the refs in the game. You never want to put the game in the refs' hands. And two, I felt as if under the table, man, that was that get back for the Dallas Cowboys game.
It is. It was absolutely a get back.
And I wouldn't be surprised, giving the potential matchup between the Chiefs and Ravens, defending champions, going up against Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and then
Lamar Jackson, and then Mahomes is going to win because Lamar's a running back and Lamar can't win, and you're never going to.
We ain't going to talk like that. No, we going all Lamar.
I'm not talking like that. I'm saying that's going to be the narrative around it. I'm the biggest Lamar believer. I'm saying that's just the narrative that comes along with it.
I'm not going to sit up here and say the game is going to be deterred in any different way. You know what I'm saying? Because if the game was scripted, the Cowboys would have won yesterday and come back fashion.
No.
But I will say
every year for the Cowboys. But go ahead.
But I will say this: if the Bills or Chiefs find themselves in a situation where the game is coming down to refs making an officiating call, it could be bad news.
We know who's going to get that into the call.
Anyways,
especially if it's like, let's say they're in the red zone, right? We'll say Kansas City's marching down the field, 2.5 minutes left. Travis Kelce makes an 10-yard in. Micah Hyde's on him, and there's a little bit of tugging going on both sides. Kind of both going at it. They're gonna pull the flag on Micah Hyde. They're gonna pull it on him, and it's gonna be like that's a very tic tac, kind of call. They get it down in a 1st and goal situation, and they run the ball in with Isaiah Pacheco, and that's essentially game at that point. Yeah. It's going to be just something just ridiculous where it's like you made that call in that situation at that moment. Yeah. That's the call you made. But the rest of the game, you let the guys play. Hey, we're going to let these guys go out there and play. Yeah. But you pick and choose when to make the call that, is a 50-50 call.
That's why I say you never want to put the game in the refs' hands.
It's kind of inevitable, man. It's a game of inches. It is, but
yeah,
whatever.
I get it. NFC though, we already got one matchup set up: Niners and Packers. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an interesting game. Who you like?
I like San Francisco to win the game. It's going to be in the Bay. Like I think Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy in that offense is going to be ready to go out there, even though that's a very stingy and a very capable Green Bay defense. But having LaFleur and having Shanahan go up head to head, I think is going to be a great offensive matchup. Jordan Love is going to regress in terms of the fact that he's not going to have the same kind of production, a perfect passer rating, damn near a perfect QBR like we saw versus Dallas. He's going to, regress a little bit back to the means. I still think he goes out there and plays a very good game, but that San Francisco team is just too talented top to bottom with all pro talent on all 3 levels, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'd like San Francisco to go out there and kind of win that game handily. I'd say San Francisco probably wins that game 27-20, 27-23 maybe. But they're going to be in full control of that game.
Yeah, I mean, this Niners team is damn near perfect from top to bottom, right? Like you just mentioned. And I think we've only seen one team, just expose them, was the Baltimore Ravens, right? Their defense made life living hell for Brock Purdy. Definitely not the Jags.
Definitely
if anything, they exposed us. But Brock Purdy looked very pedestrian against that Ravens defense.
Did.
He played terrible. And I think it's going to come down to Joe Barry once again defensively. Can you stop or maintain or halt what the Niners can do offensively with CMC, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, and of course George Kittle, and of course Brock Purdy, right? I think he is the 4th man in his offense that leads the way. You know what I'm saying? I know you.
But he's MVP. He's the most valuable player on the Niners.
Man, I seen Sam Darnold put up extreme numbers when he started last week. Yep. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. That pretty much to put the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, though, Brock Purdy's definitely an intricate piece, a huge, a big intricate piece into this offense, right? So it comes down to quarterback play. Can Brock Purdy deliver? Can Joe Barry contain him? We'll see. I think Kyle Shanahan can beat you in so many different ways in regards to the Cowboys, how they're very one-dimensional in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners aren't that. Offensively, for Green Bay, I think Jordan Love has to have another epic performance, right? It's gonna be tough, very tough, because this Niners defense is better than the Cowboys defense. But how do you beat the Niners defensively? You got to be able to run the ball effectively. We need another big game from Aaron Jones. Can Aaron Jones be effective on the ground? Because I think out of all the weaknesses on this Niners defense, I think they still struggle stopping the run. They've been better, of course, since they got Chase Young and since Steve Wilkes has been on the field to call the plays. But you still got to find a loophole if you're an offensive-minded head coach. But Jordan Love has to play excellent football. I think it's gonna be very tough. I think this game is closer than what people might think because this Packers team is definitely playing.
They're well prepared too. Very well coached
for sure.
Yes.
And it's going to be a rematch of Packers and Niners. Man, we saw it in 2019. The Niners ran them out of the stadium in Levi Stadium, and then we saw it in the snow the following year, or in 2021 in Lambeau, when Rodgers' MVP year was supposed to go into the championship that year, and they got boxed in defensively or offensively. So, different ball game, different weather, different players. We'll see. But I got the Niners pulling out in a close one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely fair. Like I said, I got San Francisco winning that game 27-23. That'll be a very, very good matchup as well, too. And I think just the fact that Matt LaFleur's, I almost said Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's offensive system. Yeah.
Mike LaFleur is a part of the offensive coordinating staff for the Niners. So
yeah, exactly. So that's where you get these headlines, very similar offenses, the way that they run things, a lot of misdirection, a lot of pre-snap motion, getting guys like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk in motion, identifying defensive coverages pre-snap, a lot of great things go into this matchup. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to be hard for Aaron Jones in that front seven, though, to run on that front seven, right? Eric Armstead, Greenlaw, Bosa, Young, Warner. I mean, you name it, right? All pro level. On Armstead. All three level. Yeah, Eric Armstead as well.
My bad. Hargrave, my bad.
Javon Hargrave as well, too. I mean, just so much talent on that front seven. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get that run game going. You're going to have to rely a lot more on Jordan Love in this matchup versus what you did versus Dallas in the wild card round. But I think it'll still be a very good matchup, though, going into the divisional round of the postseason.
It's going to be a mirroring game for sure. I mean, you're looking at two offenses that do the same things. It's going to be like, hey, can Matt LaFleur get in Joe Barry's ear and say, hey, man, I know what my little brother loves to do. Let's try to take advantage of this.
Yeah. Now, look, imagine this, though. Imagine Green Bay pulls off another upset in the Bay, right? Incredible, right? And the story goes on. And then the Lions win the divisional. The Lions win in the division. You have a Packers-Lions NFC Championship matchup. Could you imagine that?
In Detroit.
You can't script that no better. You cannot script that any better.
You can't. And I will say, Kyle Shanahan, no one's talking about it, but the pressure is on you, my friend. I know.
Oh, for sure.
You should win these games.
Convincingly.
You should get to the championship. Maybe not convincingly, because it's the NFL, any given league.
Sure, but when you talk about the talent and what their resume has shown, I agree. That's what I'm referring to.
But boy, if you fall short from the championship, you should be attending. I don't know, dog.
They better win the NFC. That should be the standard. It shouldn't be getting to the NFC championship game. They should win the NFC. Yes. That is the expectation.
They won't fire Kyle Shanahan.
No, they should.
But they're going to think back and say, hey, man, the reason why you probably lost this game is because of the quarterback. You still can't figure out the quarterback situation. Yeah, he was good in the regular season, but in the playoffs, when we needed him to throw the football, he couldn't answer. So we'll see.
And Niners fans swear up and down last season in the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial, if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt in that game, they would have won that game. And sure, it would have been a completely different outcome in that game. Maybe not necessarily the outcome of the game, but the trajectory of the game, right?
Obviously, for sure. Trajectory for sure.
I still think Philadelphia ultimately would have won that game. At home, but yes, it would have been maybe a Christian McCaffrey in there as quarterback. It would have been a completely different game. But if Green Bay, who has not had San Francisco's number like you talked about, but different team, different feel. If a young, hungry team with Romeo Doubs and all of these rookies and young guys just say, you know what, we're going to go out there and we're going to shock the world, and they go in there and they beat San Francisco, and we get a Detroit versus Green Bay NFC Championship game. Honestly, I'd be here for it. I would so be here for it. That storyline would be incredible.
Yeah.
And it would be so much fun. It would be so much fun to see Detroit or Green Bay in the Super Bowl. But I'm maybe getting a little ahead of myself, though.
Conference championship, you mean Detroit?
Right, but that would guarantee that one of them gets into the Super Bowl, though.
Sure. Oh yeah,
right. If you, I mean, I don't think most people would have even said Detroit still would have gone to the Super Bowl even after their Week 1 Kansas City win after beating the world champs. You would have been like, Detroit's proven that they're a good team, but make the Super Bowl, like, let's pump the brakes. Same thing, Green Bay. Like, Green Bay was lucky enough to even get in. They made they made their late season run. Jordan Love got on a hot streak. But this team's playing some great ball. So I mean, any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday, and I also say this. I think a coach said it one time. I heard about it on the podcast. He said the best expectations when you have zero expectations entering a game you're not supposed to win. You can play free flowing. You go out there. You just go out there just having fun. No pressure. You out there just proving everybody wrong.
Hey, as long as we go out there and have fun, man. As long as we go out there and have fun.
As long as we have fun.
That guy's a hypocrite, man. I can't stand that guy, bro. You see him laughing about Gobert, but then Gobert hits
bro, was so funny, bro. Like, you laughed on the sideline.
Karma is
you blew a layup. And I mean, the game was over, but you still blew a layup.
Like, you blew a layup. You blew a wide. They didn't even contest it. You blew the layup. That is the type of, that is why Westbrook at this point. I don't even need to get into it. But
we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that later. Hey, great chat. What's it called? Great pod. I mean,
we got one more. Hold on.
We got some
Lions and Buccaneers real quick. If you believe, we picking the Bucs tonight, right?
I'm picking the Bucs. Yeah.
Okay. Real quick.
Okay.
Lions and Buccaneers. Who you like in that game? It will be in Detroit.
For the agenda, I gotta pick Detroit, man. I gotta get the feel good story. Keep going, man. I gotta pick Detroit, man. Nothing against Baker, but I mean, it's gonna be a good game regardless. It will be a good game regardless, and it'll be in Detroit because of the 3 seed.
Yeah, it'll be in Detroit.
Right, Detroit's 3 seed, yes, because Tampa's 4. So, yeah,
I think
at Ford Field.
I think regardless of who wins tonight, I got the Buccaneers winning. But if the Eagles do win tonight, or if the Buccaneers,
I still got Detroit.
Oh, yeah, I got Detroit, and I got Detroit not even close. I got them winning by a lot. I think it'll be like a 35-14 type of game. I think they'll run who they play next out of the stadium.
But if they play Tampa like we predict, though, I mean, I still think it'll be close because Tampa's defense is still going to keep them in that game. I think Baker Mayfield's going to go out there and he's going to throw a couple interceptions and have some untimely turnovers at Ford Field. But that defense will absolutely keep them in the game, even with a prolific offense, like with guys like Gibbs, Amon-Ra. Don't even need to go down the list. It is a very good offense. So, yeah, that's just where I'm at with it, though. But let's wrap up this, man. Episode 8 officially wrapped up. Great talk. Wild card round is essentially up for you guys that are now going to be seeing this. You guys know the results. We're obviously predicting this as well, too. We both got the Bills and the Buccaneers winning tonight as we're recording this on a Monday. Man, just great pod today, bro.
Yes, sir. I think I'm tapping in. Follow us on all platforms.
Yes, sir.
Brett will have it in the link to go below. I don't know the actual, ads for our platforms, but
yeah.
You can follow us. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's a very great pod, man. I'm excited for these games today, and wild card football was definitely a good showing this weekend. I won't lie to you, man. Even though it was a few blowouts, it was still good to watch competitive football to close out this playoff slate.
Most definitely. We had a lot of storylines going on in that wild card round, and we have a lot of great storylines from what it looks like kind of going into the divisional. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, right? We talked about it, Jordan Love, or I guess not necessarily Jordan Love, but LaFleur versus Shanahan. There's a lot of great matchups to look forward to going into the divisional round as well, too. But that's going to wrap up episode 8 of the Don't Overthink It podcast, man. Thank you guys again for sticking around throughout the entire show. Like Darian said, the links will be in the description down below, so you guys can go ahead and follow us on our socials, Darian and me, Brett James, but then also we have our podcast socials as well, too, for both Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter. You guys will be able to find all of that ahead or down below in the link tree. But thank you guys again for sticking around throughout the entire podcast. We'll catch you guys around next week for episode 9. And like always, don't overthink it.